Welcome to Bliss to Abundance, the podcast for growth-minded travel entrepreneurs. Hey guys, Cyndi Williams here, the Wanderlust CEO. Welcome to the podcast. Today we are talking about our best tips to help you extend wave season. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Wanderlust Social, the one-stop shop for all of your marketing resources for your travel business. Check them out at wanderlust-social.com. But today, you guys, I want to introduce you to the coolest guest, Kim Sims from Magnolia Travel Group, the co-owner and one of my good friends. And let me just tell you a little bit about Kim. She runs a fantastic, large, huge agency, and she's just great at what she does. So I thought, who better to invite on the show to talk about our best tips to extend wave season than Kim. Welcome, Kim. How are you today?
Great. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Cyndi. I'm excited to be here. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about these things. We're just so excited about the world of travel for 2022, where I think we're just starting to see the end of the pandemic, or at least the clients are starting to see the end of the pandemic and wanting to travel again. So I think this will be very timely in discussion.
Yeah, I love it. How has wave season been for you this year? I know at our agency, we're knocking it out of the park. It's almost like pre-pandemic level for sure for us. But how's it been for you over at Magnolia?
It was, in January of 2019 was our best month of the company to that date. And of course, we spent most of 2020 canceling everything that we booked in January.
Man.
But I was proud to say that we even superseded those numbers this January. So it gave my agents confidence that it really is back and they really can sell travel, and just positioning yourself to be able to really know who your ideal client is, really know what the client's willing to travel to, narrow that down and be able to sell that product and be able to be familiar with products enough to know what you can sell, because so much of what we did and that made us successful during the pandemic was being able to shift and pivot the business to sell what people were comfortable traveling to. So even though we have our niches, we have our specialties, we are a full service agency, and we do sell what the client wants to travel to.
Yeah, and it really is navigating that, and especially now too, it's gone from, what's open, what's not open. But now the new question of the day is, where can people who are vaccinated travel? Where can people who are not vaccinated travel? And balancing that. But the great news is that people are traveling again. And of course, during wave season, it's easy. It's one of those things where it's normally going to be a busy time. In agencies like yours and mine, we do a lot of marketing. And so of course, and you're having a busy season, but sometimes even if agencies don't market that much, they have a busy first quarter. But then we know, being in the industry a while, March, April rolls around and all of a sudden your leads go and they kind of tank, right? If you're not doing real marketing. So I really wanted to put the show together today to talk through what those newer agents, or even an experienced great agent who just doesn't know the tricks of the trade yet, what should people be doing to really extend wave season? What would be your top 2 or 3 tips to kind of extend this feeling of busyness all through the year and help people even out their cash flow?
Well, one excellent thing that I learned, and you didn't mention this, I am a client of yours, and I went through Careers on Vacation Mastermind program in 2018. And one great tip that I learned from you that I implement in my business today is a calendar of where you put when you need to market for certain destinations. And so what's great is Europe is coming back, Alaska cruising is coming back, and what's great is those things can be booked well in advance. I mean, we're already seeing sailings offered for 2023, even into early 2024. And so sometimes if you've got a client that that big destination trip, wants that Mediterranean cruise, or wants to do a river cruise, or that one-time thing, you can push that out even 18 months in advance. And so you can get those bookings now on the books for you, and then allow the client to pay over time, which is always helpful for them. And so that, but using that calendar and realizing, okay, it's January. So of course I can always market Disney, always market Universal, irregardless, because it's a 24/7, 365-day
Yeah.
destination. But then you can also look at, okay, cruising is great. You can get some great deals to Hawaii, um, great deals to the Caribbean in the fall when it's normally low season or hurricane season. And so if somebody's looking for a deal, you
Mm.
might want to say, okay, well, you say you want to go in the summer, but I could save you so much money if you would go in October and November. Is that an option for you? And so sometimes you can position yourself as an expert, letting the client know, look, I am looking out for your dollar. I am helping you save money. But and all I'm really doing is I'm still keeping the premium level accommodations and the tours and things that I want them to do, but I'm positioning them during a time period that they will see some savings, and therefore they
Well,
value
and
me because I'm
let's
looking
talk.
out for them.
I love that, Kim. Let's talk about that for a second because that's so smart. And of course, you would be doing that as a savvy business owner because one, it spreads your cash flow out, but even more importantly, you're giving your clients more value for their money. And the
Mhm,
other layer to that is some kids are still homeschooling or virtual
mhm.
schooling. So
Yes.
families have more flexibility. So to be working with a professional or someone like someone on your team that says, "Hey, did you know I can get you a Butler suite or I can get you a lake view or I can get you the next level for even sometimes less money than it would be in prime season, which is summer, Christmas break,
Mhm,
spring break. If you can get them outside of that, and like when we when the pandemic was going on, you know this, we went to Disney twice for a
mhm,
month, like not to the Disney
mhm,
hotels, but we rented like a house and we went and visited and stayed a couple nights here and there at the hotels.
mhm,
But we were way more flexible with what we could do because the kids were schooling in that environment. So what a savvy
mhm,
thing. I love that tip. And I love
mhm,
that you brought up the, kind of calendar of balancing those items out because there's
mhm,
nothing more refreshing. Like as an owner, when I go into my dashboard at the beginning of the month and I'm like, we already have X amount of dollars booked for travel this
mhm,
month. So anything else we do from now on is like whipped cream and cherry on top in terms of that
mhm,
piece. And loading your business, like I know it's like, oh, I'm booking this for 12 months from now or 18 months from now. But
mhm,
the way that this whole thing works is it's a cumulative like growth pattern. So if you're building that book of business and kind of like front loading those trips into the months
mhm,
that come, that's how we always coach. And you mentioned you went through careers on
mhm,
vacation, but people always go, when do I know it's time to go full time? The better you are at front loading your schedule, you'll know 30 days, 60 days, 90 days how much revenue your business is going to be bringing in. So then you can
mhm,
comfortably leave a part-time or full-time job and go, I'm going to do travel full time. So what a smart savvy trick. I love
mhm.
that. What else you got for us today?
Well, and just like you said, I have found that because clients have delayed travel now for almost 18 months, we almost have a little bit of a backlog. And so
Mm,
if their dream trip is Alaskan cruise
yeah.
and they call you today, the better value really is to put them on their choice of ship for 2023 versus trying to squeeze them in a crappy cabin and
Yeah.
them not having the best experience that they would have, especially if this is a bucket list trip. So don't devalue the client's experience just to get that sale
Right.
now. Realize that I had to start booking ski for this spring. Like my clients who are traveling right now to ski this season, I
Yep.
booked in April and May of last year. And it used to be August, September, October, you booked it, but you're having to back it up because
Yep.
there's a pent up demand. You've got folks who are not going to leave the country yet, they're not comfortable. So
Mm,
it puts a pinch on the domestic travel.
so
So
much.
if you've got clients that want to do national parks, they want to do ski, they want to do big city trips, Broadway shows, whatever, you have to plan further in advance. And so sometimes that might have to help the client have a realistic expectation of what they can get in
Yeah.
a short amount of time. So,
That is
and
really true.
just not just selling it to sell it, but really, really figuring out for the client what is really the
Hmm.
best trip for them.
Yep.
Because in the end, it's not the quick sell; it's keeping the client,
Yep.
keeping them coming back to you every year. Because 10 years down the road, if you have 35 or 50 solid luxury clients, you don't have to market. anymore for
Exactly.
yourself.
And if
Mhm,
you are become, I always tell new agents, become obsessed with the client experience. If you are
mhm,
always working in the best interest of your clients, then you're building a business for longevity. And this was a
mhm,
hard message in the middle of COVID, right? Because it was like, you got to cancel and you got to do what's best for them. And like, you have to just be really sensitive about that process. But reminding people that as this build back process has now come full circle, right? We're seeing that now
mhm,
the clients that you did treat with care and do that hard work for, and you had to do the cancel rebook game for a while, they are
mhm,
coming back in droves to kind of, you've created such a loyalty with them working with you for
mhm,
future. They're not going to trust anyone else with their vacation in this climate of vaccinations, and this country needs that, and that's not going away anytime soon. So, from a
mhm,
job security and growth perspective, that's actually a good problem. I know it's frustrating because it makes our jobs harder, but that's the problem
mhm,
we're solving for clients. And if you do that in a big way, always in their best interest, to your point, you're going to have that longevity of
mhm,
client and of business, which
mhm.
is such an important thing. I love that, and it's so funny you
Absolutely.
bring up domestic. I want to talk about that just for a second. I was in Disney. I just did a quick trip on a whim, and I went out Friday night and went to Orlando for the weekend. And it is not, when we're filming this, it's like February 2nd, 2022. It is not holiday week. It was not a Christmas. It was literally an off season weekend. Kim, if I tell you I went to Disney Springs and it was bananas, like the line was like 20
Mhm,
minutes to check out. There were so many people. I actually have a video somewhere floating on YouTube, and I showed the parking ramp, the lime parking ramp that's like
mhm,
right there in that middle part. It only
mhm,
had 50 parking spots in the entire 4 or 5 tier. I was like, I was thinking I was going to pop over to Disney Springs for a quick grab this, make a few videos. Like, literally, it was supposed to be like an hour or two pop in, pop out. I was there for like 4.5 hours, and I'm like, all I did was like buy a couple of things and stop at
mhm,
Amorette's on the way out. And I
mhm,
was like, there's so many people, and
mhm.
we, you and I like to travel off season, so the
Yeah.
struggle is real for
Mhm,
domestic bookings, making sure that you're educating your client on, it's not just can I go next month, it's like can I go in 3 months. Like, we are
mhm,
working with all of our clients to make sure they are set for summer right now in January, February. We're
mhm,
already booking into Thanksgiving and Christmas and even into
mhm,
January of next year at this point, right?
mhm.
So
Exactly.
it really is a shift in understanding. You have to be able to pivot and be able
Mhm,
to look at the market and assess it, I
mhm,
think, in terms of like creating tips for creating this wave season. But the
mhm,
beautiful thing is, because everything is off kilter a little bit, there's
mhm.
such an opportunity to book more throughout the year. Do you agree?
I agree, definitely because your clients are willing to look at multiple dates,
Yeah.
to get that
Get what they
particular
want.
thing. For example, speaking of Disney, there are clients who have certain preferences on resorts. And so they're saying, okay, well, when can I get that contemporary Magic Kingdom theme park view, which I
Mm-hmm.
just love to
I
sell.
know. Yep. The
Who
best.
doesn't want that view for the
Oh,
fireworks? And so
yes.
that they're wanting those experiences. And so you're having to say their clients are willing to be flexible. So you have to be able to spread that and kind of know when and where you can find those hotels and things. And then also, with domestic, I have surprised myself being in the business for as many years as I have about beautiful, wonderful resorts and places to visit within
Mm-hmm.
our own contiguous United States
Yep.
that clients love to go to, have great experiences, and you can actually, through booking fees, including and what commissions offered with the supplier, you can put together some very, very awesome packages and itineraries to do. For example, I had no idea that there was a wine country in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yep.
just always think Napa, 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 Napa. So then
Yep.
when
Yep.
somebody wants to do
Sonoma.
a wine tour, then I'm looking at Napa and it's booked. Well, Portland's area, I mean, it's fabulous. And I mean, they have all these tours that you can
Mhm.
sell and all that in some of our suppliers and stuff. So, Portland, Oregon's an amazing, amazing place to go. Another one is, matter of fact, I'm taking my own spouse on is the Kentucky Bourbon Trail
Oh, so
in Kentucky.
fun. What a
And
great
it's an
one.
excellent trip to put together that I put through a supplier and able to earn commission on. And so it had no idea that they had these things and just wonderful hotels that are old. And, and then another one is one of my favorite places to sell is the Omni Homestead in Roanoke, Virginia, which is
Oh,
like
yeah.
what I call the Dirty Dancing Hotel. It's the one
Yes.
that has all the activities. I mean, they've got in the winter skiing and ice skating and hot springs to
Oh,
soak in,
I love it.
skeet shooting, falconry with, like where you can put the
Mm,
big thing on and the falcon comes and sits on your hand.
yeah.
And they've got, golf and just all sorts of things. Sent clients there. They've had an amazing time and it's commissionable. So it's
Yeah.
just being willing to be open and look outside of your comfort zone,
Yep.
get familiar with what is next door and put together packages and that have value. We've been beefing up our agency Dropbox with city
Mm,
destination guides to Chicago, Phoenix, Las Vegas,
yep.
Los Angeles, New York, with restaurant recommendations and everything. So each one of our clients has that
That's amazing.
luxury experience when they go
Yeah,
to even just a city.
it's like rediscovering like the beauty of domestic and
Mhm,
finding those little jewels. We have a place here on the outskirts of Austin. It's actually in a city called Bastrop, but it's just outside of Austin. And there's
mhm,
this resort kind of like the one you were talking about.
mhm,
It's called Lost Pines. It's a Hyatt Lost Pines
mhm,
Regency, and it's one of those where it's just really rustic chic, and they have
mhm.
longhorns that come out that the kids can meet, and they have llamas you can pet, and they have movies on the lawn, and they have these giant rocking chairs and s'mores every night and lazy rivers. Like, if you didn't know it was there or no one ever told you
Don't
about
know.
it, you really
Mm-mm.
wouldn't know. So we've been going there for years, but that's definitely in our mix too. And it's
Mhm.
funny because like I became a travel agent at 19 years old, and we used to sell things like the Poconos and like fall foliage to, like that stuff is totally back, and it's just like
It
so
is.
reminiscent for me because I remember like selling those at 19, 20, 21 years old, and now I'm
Mhm,
like, man, these are so. Do you remember the old when they used to have the old like heart-shaped
mhm.
hot tubs? I
I
don't know if they
know.
have those anymore, but that was like so cute. But and like the like New Orleans, right? Like I
Mhm,
love a good like first class New Orleans uh
mhm,
stay, and people are extending,
mhm,
they're spending more time and they're enjoying the cities, and they're doing tours on the outskirts. So yeah, it's really it's it's one of those things where this is why travel agents that the love travel and they're so passionate about what they do, they're rising to the occasion, right?
mhm,
And working with what we got in terms of those pieces. There's so many things that are commissionable, and there's people that are willing to go outside of the country, and those that aren't. We still have amazing, great choices.
mhm,
You brought up fees, and that's, I think, I want to finish by talking about that because this is one of those things pre COVID. You and I know this because in my programs for years, I have been talking about, make sure your marketing is at the level where you're bringing the right client, that you have your ideal client, the ones that see your value and the ones that will pay your fees. We've been training fees for forever. That's no surprise. But it used to be, a battle of I'm not going to charge fee. I'm going to charge, and there was like a should I fee or like the Hamlet thing, to fee or not to fee? Like what should I do?
mhm.
But now, do you feel like there has been a change post COVID? I have my own thoughts, but what are your thoughts on what the larger community is thinking about fees and what's happening in our industry with fees?
Yeah, and I think that, clients are understanding that well, the
Mhm.
first thing they're wanting from us is flexibility.
Yep.
So bringing back the packages within our traditional tour operators that offer what's called a cancel for any reason insurance policy that either gives them a voucher to travel later or cash back if they want
Yeah.
that, up to 75% back.
Yep.
So they're liking those products that we're putting together, but they're also understanding if termed correctly, they see the value of the time that we're putting towards their vacation. And they understand that if they're asking for flexibility, that they have to understand that there has to be some final compensation for the travel advisor. And
Yep.
sometimes it just is letting clients know what what it is. I mean, I think a lot of folks just don't ask,
Yeah.
and so the client never knows how we're paid. And
Yep.
so when the client wants to have flexibility, it's very easy to start putting in front end fees and letting them know that, well, this is our charge for my time to plan your
Yep.
trip, whether you go on it or not.
Yep. Exactly.
And one of our great Wanderlust CEOs, Jennifer Whalen, has a fee schedule, and she has just a small planning fee, and she says in it, $75 planning fee. You get 2 hours of my time,
Yep.
whether you book with me or not.
Yep.
And so she's at least collecting a little bit of money to just
Of
give
course.
some expert advice. Because to be honest, you have to be realistic with yourself, and with the right mindset, you have to
Yeah.
understand when you're even speaking to them for just a few minutes and asking those right questions, and you're giving expert opinion and advice even by just asking the right questions and helping the client narrow choices down.
Absolutely.
Uh, so even just start small. Cyndi has said this before, is just even if you're new into the business and you're nervous about your expertise level, start small. I mean, even if it's just $25 a person, then you realize you'll get confident in it. And as you get more skilled in your expert planning, then you can charge higher fees.
Yeah,
So
and
just a little bit.
outside of real estate, there are not a lot of careers out there. And real estate obviously is always going to be a six-figure sale 9 times out of 10
Mhm,
or more, sometimes many
mhm,
seven-figure sales. But outside of that kind of industry, there's no other industry where you don't get paid until right until they actually do the process of traveling.
mhm,
And I think the shift happened during COVID where, so many people saw their entire year kind of crumble, and
mhm,
they're realizing they have to change their model now.
mhm,
And I think that clients have been very understanding about it. We've made advocacy videos. We have some on our main YouTube channel that all travel agents are welcome to use. They're just general advocacy videos on, pick a travel. Sometimes having a travel advisor with a fee speaks to their confidence, their certification, their skills, their
mhm,
experience. And if you're, looking for that value and that quality, paying a fee, you might pay a
mhm,
little bit up front, but what you're going to save and
mhm,
how your vacation is going to be so much better, the quality and value in your vacation
mhm.
is nominal. Like even if you go to restaurants now, they're like, would you like to add 25? Even like the little restaurants where they're like, you have to add the 20% or the 25% when it's like pickup and delivery and DoorDash and all of these
Mhm,
Uber, right? We're just
mhm,
trained to have that extra kind of thing built in there. So I think that there is a shift happening and it's a good thing, right? Because once we
mhm,
make this shift, then we're not going to go backwards. And especially because in an industry that is so heavy with women, I feel like it's harder for women to own their value. Not always, but
mhm.
sometimes it's one of those things where they will work 20 hours on a trip and then the person ghosts them and they're
Oh,
like, that's 20 hours that you weren't with your family and you weren't with your kids and you weren't taking care of yourself or whatever, right? So
mhm,
we have to place a value on what we're
mhm,
bringing to the table and how we serve the world.
mhm,
So I'm a big, as you know, I have
mhm,
always preached fees before COVID, during COVID, and I'm going to continue on that track. But I do feel a real shift in the consumer
mhm,
acceptance of that, and almost the consumer like wanting the best travel advisor, right? They're looking for that, like that, whether it's a cruise on vacation certification or whatever certifications are out there, but looking for that experience is important right now because the world,
mhm.
everything's changing so fast and furious. So
Exactly,
love that.
exactly.
I
That's so
want to,
exciting.
I know, I want to give our listeners and our viewers a little resource. We have a great little map. It's a travel agency blueprint. So you can go to Wanderlust CEO/blueprint for those of you listening. It's a totally free tool, but Kim mentioned earlier talking about having a calendar and having a schedule. And if you don't have a formal marketing process in place. That's one of those things that we mentioned early on. And this whole show is about how to extend, right? How to extend your wave season. The number one way to extend your wave season is to make sure you're doing high quality marketing that really, really translates. And that you're bringing leads all the time, not
Mhm.
just during wave season. It's the only way that you're going to be able to do this full time and do it in a big way. Like when Kim and I started working together, you've like grown 10 times the size that
Mhm.
when, I mean, it's
Mhm.
been phenomenal. I'm so proud of all of your
Mhm.
success, my friend. It's been
Thank
amazing.
you.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, it's been great. So thank you for joining us on the show
Yeah.
today. It's been so great. And guys, make sure you go over and like Magnolia Travel Group. Give them some love over there out there in the internet. And I want to thank again our sponsor of the day, which is Wanderlust Social. If you're looking for great high quality marketing materials that you can customize to your own brand and that will help you convert, that you can plug right into your marketing plan, go visit us at wanderlust-social.com and they can help you out over there. That's our sister company. So, Kim, thanks again for joining us on the show.
Thank
I'm sure we're
you.
going to have you back in a month or two to talk about Disney earmarking, which, by the way, congratulations. Where's
Thank
my confetti?
you.
My confetti
Very.
is somewhere around here. I don't know if I can find it quick enough. But hang on, yes, I have it here. Kim, you guys got earmarked. Her and her partner Jen last year at
Yes.
Disney, which is a
Yes.
huge accolade. We're going to be back to
Big
talk
deal.
about that in a month or two. So
Okay.
we'll have you back on the show
Awesome.
soon. All right, Kim, thanks for
Great.
joining us today.
All right. Thank you.
All right,
Bye
we'll
bye.
talk soon. Bye.